Hello beloved twin flames, this is Stephanie Parasha, Divine Light, coming out to you from India with some tips and updates energetically for twin flames at this time. So today in India we experienced some quite big dust storms. There was a massive warning across India, and over the last week there's been quite a number of deaths throughout India because of this kind of weather pattern, which they are describing as a little bit freakish for this time of year. So, you know, as I mentioned even in my last video, before these storms even happened, I referred to my last video as a cosmic storm, because this is the level of the degree of the energy that is hitting us right now. And those of you that are able to tune in energetically will be seeing, like what I'm seeing is just a whole lot of energy patterns just running throughout the earth, like kind of like those plasma balls that if you put your hand on, you know, those electrical pulses just pulsate everywhere. Like that's going on not only on the planet, but we also have a similar pattern within our brain. So I'm being shown that we are getting, as this energy hits the planet in an atmospheric way, it's affecting the earth, it's also affecting our human brain. All these sorry, I'm just having to translate as they're talking to me, synapses and neurons and neural pathways are being completely rewired and re-energized, and so much of the data that was previously held in our brain, in the human brain, is being archived and deleted and wiped out. Like there's just a massive clear up of all of the old data. And so these new synapses, new neural pathways are firing in such a profound new way that we are just having these very massive, incredible upgrades. And I'm being told that this is happening for everybody, but for those that are awakened, this will be experienced a lot more consciously, with a lot more awareness, with huge shifts in personal circumstances and personal energy. And this is going to propel us into our, you know, a higher and higher states of functioning as humans. So yeah. What else? So in terms of kind of grounding this energy in, it's still important that we, you know, even those that are adept now at energy work, at meditation, at being mindful and being tuned in, at times there is still going to be challenges in terms of the types of energies that we may encounter in the third dimensional field, because as we know, even though we may be operating from a more of a fifth dimensional or higher dimensional consciousness, we may have more emotional mastery through also having transcended the fourth dimension, that we will still touch on and have contact with third dimensional lower vibrational experiences and energy that is part of being here on earth, because there are a large number of people on this planet that subscribe to certain ways of thinking that still create template programs and belief systems to which a large number of people subscribe to. And it's funny because I'm just getting an image of, I watched that cartoon movie the other night, Inside Out. So if you haven't already seen that movie, it's a lot about the emotions, and it's a cartoon, it's for kids, but there's very much adult themes in that movie. And I was just being shown the scene where she tips out, because she basically has a problem with her core memories. They kind of get lost or tipped out, or there's a mistake. And so as part of that receiving back her core memories, little certain parts of her have to go traveling around in her brain. And one part of the brain is, she gets on this train and the train tips over a kind of package, and it's full of facts and opinions, and she's supposed to file everything back into the right place, whether it's a fact or opinion. And they got so muddled up, she said, oh, it doesn't matter because they're the same thing anyway. So that kind of reminds me of how much of our belief systems, which we've been given and as fact, are actually just somebody's opinion. It was just somebody's opinion, that somebody decided that this is the way things are. Some of the bigger templates that are collectively being cleared right now are one of the feminine templates that's been held by the female gender around the feeling unsupported. Feeling unsupported is being looked at right now. It's being delved into. Now, when we clear a template, it's not just like we press a button and it gets deleted. And, quite a big part of the process is that we unravel the emotion that was tied in with the belief. Because when you have thoughts that are combined with emotions, that is what cements in the belief system into our whole human body structure and form. That is why part of the programming that goes on is through movies and through media, whereby we're fed fearful images that creates fear in the body and creates a certain thought, and that is combined with it, and so that cements in that energy within our whole body. So fear is obviously one of the strongest emotions in which beliefs kind of take hold, and so the memory that is created in the mind with the connection of the experience of the emotion and the feeling of fear is very, very powerful in the body. And so right now we have been for a long time, and we still are in that very big important process of releasing our fears. And for some of us, we may not have even realized that the belief that we were holding as a collective was even a fearful belief. We just came to think that that was just how things were. So what I'm seeing a lot as well is another template that seems to me to be unraveling and being exposed is the belief systems around, well, the energy of abuse, not just physical, but we're also being now very much more made aware of and understanding what power and control and that type of abuse that is not physical, but it's mental and emotional. We've been talking about this for a long time. I know it's been out there for a long time. It's been raised as an issue, but this is becoming more and more prevalent in the mainstream, so that people can now see where they're being emotionally abused, where they're being emotionally manipulated. In the past, that wasn't recognized as abuse. Unless you had a bruise on you, you couldn't say that person is abusing me. But now you can actually say, hey, look what this person did here. This is another form of power and control and abuse. This is huge right now. Another form of abuse that I'm personally very passionate about, which I'm seeing a lot here in India being exposed, is cultural abuse. So when I talk about cultural abuse, I'm not talking about the abuse where somebody is not allowed to practice their religion, and that is another side to it for sure. This is more where a religion and a whole culture combines together to tell somebody, an individual, how they're meant to be and how they're meant to behave, and impinges on their own human right to have free will. So this is huge. I see this all the time in India, and it's used as an excuse and a reason to keep people bound and to keep people in fear. And I see that India is on the brink of huge change here, but it's going to take a big effort from probably the newer generation to make this happen, because what I'm talking about is one example of cultural abuse could be arranged marriages. Now, this is definitely controversial, because I know there's a large number of Indian people that think arranged marriages are the best thing because of so many reasons. I will say that this is a cultural form of cultural abuse, because what they're making people believe is through fear that if you don't follow this system, that you'll end up either divorced or the families won't support you, or so they're trying to. It's a control. It's a system of controlling people's free will choices. It's also a system that allows the continuation of gender abuse, which is another form of cultural abuse, whereby it continues to maintain and uphold certain rights for one gender over another. So this means the female is the one that has to make all these concessions and move to a family outside of her own, where she has to then come under the domination of a mother-in-law. So in India there's a huge amount of cultural and religious abuse that is actually given permission through culture, that the mother-in-law has the say over the daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law has no power whatsoever, and there's just so many problems in India that I see between mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws, and the husband sort of gets stuck in the middle, and all these family infighting, and you know, this is a really complicated web that's been woven over time, where people just believe that this is the way, this is the only way, it's the normalized way. And also, if you don't follow it, you are shamed. You're very much shamed that you didn't do the right thing, you didn't marry the right person. Only very recently is it being kind of allowed and accepted for marriages of interfaith marriages, or what they call love marriages. So extreme control through what I call cultural abuse. I've had several occasions in my own personal life, and this is one of the reasons why I decided I could no longer continue with the relationship with my daughter's father. It wasn't anything to do with personally our relationship. It was more that I felt as if I was not only marrying the person, but I was marrying the whole culture. And so all of the beliefs that came with, for example, after the birth of a child, there are certain rules and regulations that must be followed. Again, it's based on fear of evil eyes, and the gods and goddesses will not bless you if you don't do this, and you don't do that, and you don't eat this food, and you know, and it becomes very controlling to the point where I definitely felt that my whole freedom was, I felt trapped, very, very trapped. And so that's just from a Western point of view. I know that some people feel safe with culture. They like to feel that structure around them and the family unit, and that keeps them safe. And so I'm not saying this is for everyone, but there are definitely a large number of awakening Indians that are really seeing and feeling this, and I'm seeing it a lot around me. So I just wanted to mention that. I may even do an article on this. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was I have been getting a few requests to do some more guided meditations, and I really do want to do this so very, very much for you. While I'm here right now where I am, it's not exactly the perfect conditions for recording a guided meditation. It can be pretty loud here. I'm near a street, and there's beeping and noise and animals and kids, and so in 2 weeks time from now I'll be traveling up to the Himalayas, and I'll be there for 6 weeks, and I'm really looking forward to this trip. It's going to be amazing. One of the places that I've booked to stay in is very secluded. It's a retreat. It's, off the road. You have to walk 30 to 45 minutes to this place to get there, away from the road, up high in the mountains. I'm so looking forward to this, so very, very much. And while I'm there, I definitely will be tuning in as much as possible to bring you through transmissions and healing, and through my voice. I'll be hopefully bringing you through some new and up-to-date beautiful meditations that will help your twin flame journey. So the other thing I just wanted to say was this week I've also had some communication with my twin, and you know, being the masculine, I can really see what he is going through and what other masculine twins may be going through as a collective. I'm feeling this very much collectively for them. This has been going on for a while now, but I just wanted to confirm to those of you who see this happening with your masculine that they're really very much being faced with quite difficult circumstances relating to issues that will put them in a state of, you know, put them under threat, causing their central nervous system and their body to need to release fear. So the situation that puts them under threat will put them into the fight, flight, freeze response. And what I'm seeing is they are, many of them are still trying to work out what to do in their heads. And as some of us have already been through this process, know that the head and the mind cannot really get us through. The only thing we need to do with the head and the mind is to just say, okay, you take it easy for a bit, take a rest. My body is going to need to work this out. So it's about going into their bodies and letting their bodies release the trauma, because we already knew from a couple of videos back, I did talk about the defense mechanism of the masculine being switched off. So they were kind of being de-armed. They were no longer able to use their defense mechanisms. So this is the secondary stage to that, which is now, no matter what you're going to tell, your mind's going to tell your body that it needs to do, that it can no longer override the body. The body is going to need to release trauma. It's going to need to release and heal. It knows it's got its own wisdom, and they need to know to trust the natural process of the body's wisdom of healing. So if you are able to get this message out to your masculines, if this is a feminine listening to this, or if you are a masculine listening to this, the best thing you can do is just surrender your mind to this process, and it'll go a lot faster and easier if you just trust your body. And the same way that a woman would have to trust her body in childbirth to release and allow the child, it will happen anyway. You know, it's going to happen anyway if you just let it happen, and let the feelings out of the body, all those pent-up emotions, the energy in motion that's been stored through the not being allowed to express the emotions and being shamed for them, they're now all just coming out. So let them out, and just trust. Right, so that's pretty much, I think, all I've got time for, actually, because I realized I don't want this to be too long. And just also getting a date that I just wanted to throw out there too before I finish. I keep getting this signal of the 18th of May. So the 18th of May there's something happening around that date. I did look on the calendar and didn't see anything. I'm not an astrologer, so if you're an astrologer and you want to look that up and see what that's about, check in. I'm seeing that it is the part of the new moon, some new wave of energy that's coming in. I feel it's a new wave that we're going to be working on, which is a lot more positive and higher. So we're in a higher wave frequency from about the 18th of May, definitely moving up and shifting our energies. Okay, beloveds, I will leave it there, and I hope you're all doing really well out there. Thanks so much for listening to me and supporting me on this channel. And if anyone feels that they would like some extra support or guidance or a session, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me and we can set that up. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye for now.